So welcome. This is building interactive presentations from scratch. What's really cool about this one is we're going to talk about some of the big components that you can use to make your presentations interactive. We're going to go step by step. You're going to get to see me do them and ask questions as we do them. So I'm going to show you the big things that people are using. For those of you that are new to joining us for one of our PD sessions, my name is Brene Duggins. I am the media coordinator at Oak Grove High School, which is where I am today. I have been in education this is actually my 18th year. 14 going on 15 years of those have been in the School Library Media Center. So it's really cool because my day job, I get to work with students and teachers on digital tools and how to integrate them and how to use them in their classes. And what I realized a number of years ago, about 9 years ago, I realized that what I do at the fire department, especially with doing public education, that a lot of what I did at school crosses over, and that a lot of my educator buddies from across the state could really use some of these tools. And so I was able to kind of merge my two lives. And so that other side is that I'm the fire prevention coordinator and training captain for Holly Grove Fire Department. It's a small rural department in central North Carolina. This is going on my 19th year in the fire service, and all but one of those I've been doing public education and fire prevention. So I am a firefighter, just like, jump on the truck and go fight fire, but I manage and lead our fire prevention and education program as well. So that's one thing that I really love, is being able to share these tools and how you can integrate them with not only my public education buddies, but also my fire prevention buddies as well. I do have the the virtual PD website. It's down at the bottom. It's I'm gonna put it in the chat window for you. It's busybeebree.com. And so what that is that is where I stash all these videos. When we do these sessions, I put these on my website so that you can go back and watch it later. I know we're going to talk about a lot, and sometimes you just need to go back and rewatch it. And so this will give you that chance to do that. I'm going to explain how today's session is going to look. It is going to look a little bit different than some of the others that I've done in the past. I am going to have some slides for us to talk about and look at, but majority of what we're going to do today is going to be live and on the fly. So you are going to get to see me actually build from scratch so that you can kind of see that process and ask questions. This is one of those times that I'm like, hey guys, if you have a question as we're going, put it in the chat or unmute yourself and say, hey, Bree, I don't understand what you just did. Can you go back and show me? Because this is for y'all to see, how do you do this from scratch? Because so many people will say, I have this presentation, but I want it to be more interactive. I want things to be where I can share it with an audience and they be able to do things from home. And how do I do that? So we're going to be showing you today. So just like I always say, hey, this is my disclaimer. Do not feel overwhelmed. I know that we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. What I suggest, and what I always suggest in my sessions, is pick one or two things to start with. What hits home? What really clicks and you say, hey, I know exactly where I can use this. Start there. And then once you've got that mastered and you get it, come back and try something else. That's why those videos are posted. That's why those slides are posted, so that you can go back and do that. So we're going to get started. I'm talking about planning your session. And before you even start, you've got to do some planning. I know so many people take a lesson plan and they just start building, and they just build based on what's exactly in that lesson plan. Well, with some of these interactive presentations, we have to really think through what we want it to look like. So my first tip for you is think about the flow. What do you want the presentation to look like? What do you have in your head? How are people going to interact with it? What do you just want them to have slides they click through? Do you want them to be able to click yes or no answers or true and false? Do you want them to be able, what do you want them to be able to do? And that is going to lead how you build. And so that you've got to have that picture or that sketch. So some things to think about. Are you going to insert videos and music? Because even just having videos in your presentations is a way to interact with them. That way they don't have to listen to you the whole time. Not everybody wants to listen to me talk. So I could have videos that you click or that I even click during my presentation that would give that information. Also, we could have music. Think about times, and we're going to actually look at this one. There are times that we may be doing a presentation where we need people to turn and talk to each other for 2 minutes or to brainstorm and make a list. And you give them 2 minutes or 5 minutes to do something. We could have a timer and music playing, and that can be part of our presentation. It chops it up a little bit. It gives them just a second and something a little bit different. So we're going to talk about that. Making it non-linear. And when I mean non-linear, I mean it does not flow slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4. Linear presentations are what so many people do. They just go in that order. Making it interactive, you're going to be able to do that non-linear. And some examples of that are doing choice boards, board games, the true false questions. We're going to look at some of those. This one was a big one that popped up last year, is people creating those Bitmoji classrooms. They build the Bitmoji scene, and based on different things in the room, when somebody clicks on it, it takes them somewhere else. So a lot of people made little fire stations or classrooms, like we've had science classrooms and Spanish classrooms. And when you click on the books or a poster on the wall or something on the bulletin board, it takes them to a video, to a lesson, to a document, to a website. So that's another way to interact. It gives the participant ownership, and the participant is student-led, or it's called student-led. They get to make the choices in what order they do things. Also doing interactive quizzes and polls. This is something that I do in some of my sessions where I may ask you a question and I give you a link and I ask you to participate and answer a question, answer a poll, do a sliding scale of how you would rate something. Encouraging movement. That's something you can do too, and that doesn't take any additions to your slides. It's okay, everybody, stop. I want you to stand up. I want you to do this movement. It could be acting out a skill. It could be mimicking something from a video. It could be doing a task that helps them remember the concept. Sometimes I used to teach math. I was a math teacher. I taught algebra. And students would have trouble, because this is when they first introduced graphing, remembering the X and Y axis. And we would do a dance to help them remember that. So just having something in your slides that says, okay, I want you to stop and I want you to do this. Doing drag and drop activities. This is one we're going to show today. I'm going to show you how to build those. And those are fun. And you can share those with an audience so that they each have the activity, and then they could submit those back to you as the instructor, or if you're working in collaboration in a classroom, they could submit it back to a teacher. Choose your own adventure. Does anybody remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books? That is exactly what this is. This is giving them a situation and saying, give them the situation and say, are you going to do this or are you going to do this? And based on their choice, the story may change. So it's putting them in situations. It's almost like doing scenarios, just in a digital format. So there's tons more things, but these are just a couple of them. And we're going to actually look at a few of these today. So the very first thing is talking about inserting videos. And I am looking for, let me go back really fast. Oh, no, that's right. I was trying to make sure I'm in the right spot. So we're going to start talking about inserting videos and music. And like I said, this is a great way to just change up your presentations, add a little spice. You could even have background music playing while you are talking to a group. So you're going to see a lot of blank slides right this second, because I'm going to jump out and put on edit mode so that you can see how this works. So when you're in Google Slides, and PowerPoint is very similar, there's an insert button where you can insert audio, video. The really cool thing about the insert video with YouTube is that you could do just a YouTube video. You can search for a video. You can also search by URL. So if there's one that is somewhere else on another website, or even something that's in your Google Drive, you can embed it. So what I'm going to do, I have got a couple things. I'm going to do a timer, and I put them down here in the bottom for myself so I could get to them quickly. Is I'm going to drop the URL for this timer that I like. And this one is a 2-minute timer that has like the little, the bomb. So it's got the fuse and it's going around through the whole time. So we're going to add this to our slide. So literally that's all it does, is you embed it. You just drop it in. Now on the right-hand side, there's a couple things you may want to look at. Depending on what you are doing with your video, you may want to have the video where you have to click it to get it to start. That is the play on click. Now, the other is you could go and have it play automatically. That means that if I go in and as soon as I get to the slide, it's going to start playing. The play on click means I can click anywhere on this slide. And then the play manual is I have to push the play button. So a lot of times if I'm going to be talking about a group assignment, I don't want this timer to start going until I'm ready. So I leave it to play on manual or play on click. So I'm going to put it on pause for a second. Another thing to keep in mind with these, and I talk about this in one of my tips and tricks sessions, is let's say you have a video and you only want a specific clip to show. You can actually adjust your video and start playing it like, if this is a 2-minute timer, so let's say I wanted it at 30 seconds, then I could set it for, I want it to start at 30 seconds. So sometimes if you want to adjust for just a specific clip, then you can do that. So this one I want the whole time. Sarah asked a question about downloading videos. Are you talking about videos from YouTube or just videos in general? And that the reason I ask that is when it comes to videos off of YouTube, technically, if the video is on YouTube, you need to get permission from the video's owner in order to have a copy. So what I would recommend is if there's a video on YouTube that you really would like to have, that you send, there's a message option on YouTube, message them and ask, hey, I'd love to use this for my presentation. Is it possible to get a video download so that when we're in areas that do not have internet, that we can have that? Now, are there YouTube downloaders out on the internet? Yes, there are. But technically, those are copyright violations when you do that. So I'm not going to really share, I'm not really going to advocate for those that or share those. But what I would suggest is just shooting an email. Most people are pretty responsive, especially if they've got something that they want you to use. A lot of times they'll just send you the video link, or they'll tell you how to do that or how they would like you to do that. Okay, so we've got the playback. So we've got our video. You can also adjust it if you wanted a different size. If you wanted a different size, you can do that as well. So I'm going to leave it here, or we're going to actually make it a little bit larger. And something that I want to show you is I'm going to show you a couple things. One is if I'm going to do, this is a really interesting hack to make music play at the same time. So I'm going to change my background really fast to black so that you can't see. Okay. Yes, Ralph said that if fire safety related NFPA videos, they are okay with you using those. I have asked that a couple times because I have embedded them and added clips to presentations, and I asked for permission to begin with, and the educators are like, yes, we want you to use those videos. So NFPA does want you to use those. So I changed this, and if you notice the whole background, so now you can't see the edges. Now, here's a hack. If you have music from YouTube you're going to want to use, So like I have this instrumental kids, like an upbeat video. I'm going to insert video and I'm going to grab this one. So this is going to add another video. It's creating the video. There we go. So, and if you notice the edge is black, now here's the trick. If you put this just on the edge of your presentation, oh, let's see if it's going to play nice with me today. Let me zoom out really fast. And if you notice, I'm bringing it out to the side where just an edge of this black is showing. Do y'all see that? If I put play on click and I turn this one to play on click also, when I go in to present, when I press the click, both things are going to play at the same time. Now, right now, I don't have the sound where you can hear it. But up in this corner, that's where that other song is playing. And so the students, when I play or I present this, because it is showing on that slide, just that edge, and I have it play on click, it is going to start both of those at the same time. So I have not only a countdown clock, but I have background music at the same time. So I have like carnival music, instrumental music. Sometimes I even use the Jeopardy theme going in the background for some of these presentations while they've got a time to think about something. So that's just a neat little hack. Another thing that you can do is add audio. So these are videos that are coming from like YouTube. The other is adding audio. Now, when you do audio, you could have sounds in your Google Drive. You can also upload, what I would suggest is upload your sound into your Google Drive so that you can do this. So like I have a smoke alarm sound. So what it's doing is it just dropped the smoke alarm sound onto my slide. And a lot of times I just put it down in the corner. So if I'm talking about a topic or I have a song or music, then I'm just going to leave it in the corner. That way I know when I'm ready, I can just click on it and say start. And so that way I have that audio sound when I need it. And this one will also, you have the option, just like we did when we click on it, you can do it, it'll play on click, or you can have it where it clicks, it starts automatically. You can also tell it to loop the audio if you want to. So you have a couple options. I would say stop on slide change. That the only time I would let it keep going is if I'm doing a presentation like a slideshow and I want music to keep playing through all the images or the whatever I'm showing. Sometimes when we're doing end of the year videos, we want music over all of it. Start the music on the first slide and just let it unclick stop on slide change and it'll keep playing. So that's your audio. The next one is making presentations nonlinear. And I'm going to just stay out of presentation mode because we're going to jump again in just a second. Big tip from me, sketch out what you want it to look like. So for example, this is me beginning to sketch out a right or wrong quiz like slideshow. So like I would have my title slide. I know that I'm going to do question 1 and there's 2 options. There's the correct answer and there's the wrong answer. Well, if you get correct answer, I'm going to be like, yay, and then take you to the next slide with question 2. If you get it wrong, I'm going to be like, oh, you're almost there. Try it again. Or let's look at a video and see what the answer is and reteach that topic. And then once they watch that, it's going to go to question 2 and so on and so forth. So sketch out what you want it to look like. That way, when you're building, you know how many slides to make. So what I would start doing is I would go through and start with title 1, title, question 1, correct, question 2, correct, question 3, correct. I can make these in whatever order I want to because in just a second, I'm going to show you how you can make them go from different slides. So that's the big thing. Sketch it out so that you know. It's like drawing a map of what you want to happen. So with that, another thing that I do suggest is checking out the pre-made templates on Slide Mania, because a lot of these interactive quizzes, they have ones already done. So this is Slides Mania, and I love this website. They have everything on here is for free, and they've even got a section that educators post and share slides. So on this one, when you go up, there's interactive templates. And so when you go to the interactive templates, you'll be able to see different options. So if you'll look over here, there is a which is it. So this presentation, it already has it already built for you. What you get to do is you'll go through, let me scroll down to where you can see the examples. So on this one, it has like there's a company called Damage Control. They clean up the mess superheroes and supervillains leave behind. And it wants to know, is this a Marvel or a DC? So when you click on it, if you get it correct, it's going to take you to the next question. If it's wrong, it's going to say, oh, nope, I'm sorry, this is what the correct answer is, and then take you to the next question. So you've got all these options. So they've got a green and a red showing right and wrong. And so then you can go through. So it's got that. There's a true false one. And I love the true false one because you could do safety facts, you could do messages about, all kinds of stuff. I think about like Spanish, you could have a word and ask for a certain version of the word. Is it present tense, past tense? Is it, singular form, plural form? And then you have the words and they pick which one is the correct version of it, and it would bounce. So let's see, I was looking to see, this one's a can you guess who? There's 2 truths and a lie already built. I was looking for the one that's like the true false because it's pretty cool. And all of these are like set up so they can be nonlinear. This one's pretty cool because it has file folders, and based on what file you click, it goes to different sections. The interactive notebooks are like that. Oh, here's the true false one. So the true false one, it has like there are questions. So you have 15 different questions. And when you click on one, it's going to give you a statement. And then you say, is it true or is it false? And based on the answer, it's going to take you to a slide. And so it's going to bounce the order and where it goes based on how you answer. So that's why I say draw it out. But these are some really cool templates that are already built that all you have to do is put your information in. And that's what I really like. It makes it simple if you're just starting out. So what that means, like for us, is if we are building one of these from scratch, we're going to be using what's called the hyperlink button. So I'm going to go in first and I'm going to add like a button. So give me just a second. I went up to the shapes. Now, here's the other thing. We can go through, if you don't like the way the shapes looks, we can go up to images and we're going to do a search. And here's buttons. So if I want, if I want 2 buttons, I'm going to just make yellow buttons since my stuff all today has yellow. Oh, grabbed the wrong one. Told y'all we're going on the fly today. Okay, so we've got 2 buttons. One is going to be, the right answer. One's going to be the wrong answer. So if I want this button to say, this takes me to the next slide, I can go click on it. And if it's highlighted and you see that blue, we can go up to this link button. When we go up to this link button, we have some options. We can send it anywhere. You could send it to a website. You could send it to a document. You could send it anywhere that you have a link. Now, we can also go presentations. If the next question is the next slide, then we can say next slide. We could send it. Now, we also have all of these slides. So if I have one that is like the wrong answer in the video with the correct answer, I can send it to that specific slide. So if I want this to go about to slide 7, then I can make this one go to slide 7. If I want this one to go to the next slide, I'm just going to say next slide. I didn't apply this one, so let's fix that. We're going to fix this one. I said we want this one to go to 7. So now we've got it's going to 7. So when you click on it, you'll see next slide. So when I present, if I click this one, it just took me to slide 7. If I go to the one that I said is next slide, it's going to take me to the next slide. So you tell it with the hyperlink. So I'm going to show you one more time. So you insert whatever, and it could even be text. So let's put in here, we're going to do like this is a title. So we're going to make it big like it's a title, because sometimes, especially if you're doing like a breakout room and you want people to like look around for clues on a slide, sometimes you'll have people that turn a title into this. So again, in order to do this, you have to click on it so that the box pops up. So that blue box around it, and then you're going up to the link. When you click link, then we can go to the slides. So if I want it to go to the last slide or slide 20, then now, oh, that one did not do what I wanted it to. I had my text in the wrong spot. There we go. So I click on the outside, and then I go and I hit 20. Make sure your cursor's not in the middle of your text. That's what I did wrong. So now when I click on, if I were to go up and click on the title, that's when it's going to go, when it's in present mode, to slide 20. So this allows us to send people in any order to different slides. This is also how the Bitmoji slides work. So if I were to change this background to like a location, we're going to just do a search, and I'm going to put in like kitchen. So if my kitchen is my background and I have something in my background that, like if I put a pot, we're just going to add a pot. Oh, that one's not going to work for us. Oh, let's do this one. Oh, none of my, oh, there they go. Oh, I didn't want both of them gone. Okay, so if we have this little pot, we're going to put it on the stove. And if I want it to go somewhere, then I'll make sure the blue line is around. So make sure that you click on so that the blue line, and then I'm going to click the link and I'm going to tell it where to go. So one example of this, whenever I did something for Fire Prevention Week, is I did one that when you clicked on the item in that kitchen, it popped up a slide that had the safety message related to that item from Fire Prevention Week. So this could take you to a video about making sure handles are turned in. Or if you're in a classroom and you've got a math problem on the wall, if you click on the math problem, it may take you to a video that shows you how to solve that math problem, or extra help or extra tips. So it could be anything like that. So that gives you an option. The big thing to remember is you have to have that blue line around the item before you hit the hyperlink button. And then you just tell it where you want it to go. Any questions so far with that one? So with this, I've added some tutorials for y'all. I have how to make interactive Google Slides, engaging in Google Slides, board games. So it shows you how to make these using the Google Slides for the kids to click on and move things. So that'll give you all those tips. It also reminds you about the hyperlinks. The next slide I have on here, we're not going to go into crazy detail, but when you get the slides, it's going to have the link for you. If you'll notice, this one has, actually it's this one. When you click on the title, this is going to take you to a presentation that I did on live quiz tools. So this shows you a number of tools that I talked about, or I even use, like GimKit, Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizlet, Minimeter, Zedings, Bookit, like all kind Slido that you can use in your presentations, and a number of them actually integrate into, so you can actually tie them together and their stuff goes into your Google Slide. You can also have it where you have a QR code that people scan, or a link that you drop in the chat that they would be able to go out at the same time and add or answer a question and do that live with you. So there's all kinds of things. So I gave you access to that presentation. So it's just one more thing you can add. The next one is drag and drop activities. A lot of people ask me about these. This is like thinking about Fire Prevention Week, and I'm going to bounce really fast. I'm hoping y'all can see my other, can y'all see my folder here? Ooh, making sure my stuff. So with this, yes, okay. So this is like my Fire Prevention Week folder from last year for the fire department. And with this, one of the documents that NFPA had on their website was a drag and drop. And so I think about elementary schools all the time. And whenever I taught elementary school in the library, we would have activities where they would cut and paste things and sort. And that's what this was. So you would cut these out and literally cut and paste them into the right columns. Well, in a virtual world, we need to be able to make it where we do this virtually. And so that's what this is. So this drag and drop activity allows them to take those sorted pictures and drag them to the correct sections. So they can click and drag. And so what this is going to show you, and if you'll notice, I can't move the hot or not. The only things I can move are the pictures. Now, is it possible for a person to go through and make it smaller? Yeah. A lot of times they don't, though. And so that's one of those things that it's their version. They're going to have their copy of it. So a lot of times, or if we're doing it on a smart board or Promethean board, literally they're going to come up and touch the item with their finger and pull it over. And so they can use their finger to click and then drag and then drop it. So what this one does is first thing we want to do is we want to know what we're doing. So a lot of times you'll have that base, that item, or that it could be four corners. It could be, it could be this drag and drop, which was what we're going to do. What I do suggest on these is you need to have an image of that background. What is that worksheet? What does that activity look like? If you're going to have four corners, then you need to have an image created and saved. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and you can go through and hit right click and go to change background. And I'm going to choose my background. So I'm going to one that's on my computer. And I have the image of that sort. So now it dropped the hot and not hot in my background. So now I've got this where they can't mess with it. It is here. And then you're going to go through and add those pictures the same way we did here. So you'll go through and add whatever it is. And it could be something that you say, like you find. So like we did like that search, we could say a pot. We could click on a pot and have a picture of a pot on the side. You could click and have like a basketball. So let's pick, and we're going to get a basketball. So we've got these items. You'll go through and make whatever it is. It could be numbers. We've done it with math where we've had problems and the correct answers are strung out around the slide. And so then the students literally take the picture of the number and they drag it to the correct answer, or like to the correct problem. So they drop them into slots. Another thing that we have done is when we've made the images for the background, where they're going to drop stuff, we've made colors so that they know where to drop them. If it's this one has a box, so they know just drop it in the box. But some, if it's math problems, they may need to know where to line them up. So you can set up those however you like. I like to make these backgrounds in Canva. It is one of my favorite websites. I pretty much use it every single day to make graphics, to make worksheets, to make social media stuff. So I usually build them in that, and it's downloadable as a PNG file and a JPEG. So I can use either one as a background with slides. So then once you've done that, then literally you're going to just have this image with the pieces, and that's what you're going to give students so that they can drag and drop. The cool thing is then they can actually share this back with you as an answer. So like if we say that, okay, we've answered it, they could click share and email it to you. Or if they're using a learning management system like Canvas, Schoology, Seesaw, Google Classroom, there's so many out there, Blackboard, Moodle, all that stuff. They can submit this as a link. So if they are not hitting the share button and sharing it with you, they could go in and say anybody with the link, and then they, in their submission, just email you this link so that you can see their version that they did. So that gives a way for everybody to have that documentation that they completed it, and you can use that as, did they do it right? Did they do it wrong? Is it a homework assignment? Is it a classwork assignment? So this has a couple examples of videos on how to make these drag and drops. So this one goes through creating them. This one shows you based with worksheets already having Blackline Masters. This one does the same thing where they would drag them. And then if you're interested in having that example like that I've created, when you click this link of example of a drag and drop, it actually will make you a copy of the drag and drop activity right here. So you'll have your own copy that you can see as an example. And then what I do is I have the instructions on one slide and then the activity on the next. The last thing that we're going to talk about before we do some interactions and a little bit of questions that people have asked me a lot of is talking about sharing presentations. And I know that I have shared this before, but it is one of those questions that I get constantly. It is trying to match the version of the presentation to what you want the audience to do. So I want you to think about how you want participants to interact with your presentation. If you are going to have them click on things and manipulate them, they've got to have edit rights. But you don't want them to edit your copy. You don't want them to edit your original. And that's what I see people post all the time. Last year, this time, that was like the number one thing I saw people posting in like Facebook groups, especially like online, was, oh my gosh, I did this awesome activity, but oh my gosh, kids kept messing up my version of the paper, not their version. And it was all in how people shared it. So we're going to talk about sharing. And so you have a link in that presentation. When you click here, it is going to take you to a sharing tips and tricks. So we're going to go over a couple. The first is edit mode. And so the edit mode is literally the version where you edit. And that is just what I'm in here. I can go through, I can change it, I can edit it. If you want a collaborator to work with you and you are building at the same time, give them edit rights. If you do not want somebody to make any changes to your presentation, do not just share the item and give them edit rights as an editor, because that means they can change anything. So the first thing that I would suggest is that force a copy mode. And this is whenever you want somebody to have their own copy and you do not want them to edit yours. So what you're going to do with that is at the very end of the slide, so I'm going to go up here really fast. If you see up here the word edit, you are going to delete that and put in the word copy. What that does is if I go and open up a new tab and somebody clicks on it, if it's a link, this is going to, oh, that one did not work right. Uh-oh. Oh, my slides. There we go. I told y'all we're flying by the seat of our pants today. We are bouncing around. Okay, let's go back. So if I am in this and I delete the word edit, let's try this again. And I put in the word copy. Now, one thing I am going to double check really fast because I bet I know what just caused that is, yep, anyone with the link can view. So I go to share and I change this to anyone with the link. So when I go up here and I click and I put the link in, it is going to ask, do you want to make a copy of this? And that is going to force them to have their own copy. So if I want you to have that slide so that you have your own activity sheet, like the drag and drops, I want everybody to have it, then this is what I'm going to do. Now, the next one are times that I want to share with teachers and the students, but I don't want them to edit or make their own copy. I just want them to be able to follow along. This works really great when you're doing a presentation or you're sharing material and you're going to post it on social media, but you don't want anybody to edit anything and you really don't want them to have a copy of it, like their own copy. You just want them to be able to see it. So this is called preview mode. And so what you do with this one is you change where you see that word copy, that word edit again, where I put copy, and we're going to put in the word preview. So what this one does, this one puts it into a presentation. If you notice, there's no edit bar. The only thing that's here is down here, this navigation bar. I can click right and left. I can bounce the slides. I can also go in and I can turn a laser pointer on. I could do autoplay. I can go through and download as a PDF, but they cannot edit anything. Okay. So this one puts it into that presentation mode, like the preview. Sometimes we don't want them to be able to navigate like right and left. We just want them to be able to click on specific items. And this is whenever I say, like, if you're going to do a Bitmoji classroom and you just want them to click certain things, this is what you're going to do. So this one, we're going to take out the word edit and we're going to type in preview $RM equals minimal. What this one is going to do is this one is going to take the navigation bar off. Now you have no edit bar, you have no navigation bar. So if there's nothing on here for me to click, when I click the window, then it'll move. If it has things specifically for me to click on, it will take me to where it's supposed to go. So this is what you would use if you're doing one of those Bitmoji classrooms and you want people to click on specific things. So that's preview minimal. What people a lot of times ask is, well, you know, I want to share this with teachers. Like I may make a presentation in the media center that a teacher is actually going to be the one that presents it. So a lot of times I don't want the teacher to have the edit rights. So I give it to them in the preview mode. If I want somebody to have activities linked off of it, that I can actually have links. My presentation with the preview mode, links work. So I could have activities in it linked and those still work and function. And it could also send them to a section where they make their own copy of an activity sheet or a worksheet or go to a website. So that's one of those where sharing, it depends on what you want them to do. So be thinking about what you want them to do or how you want them to interact. So that kind of leads us to the very end today. And so we're going to play a game. This is Mrs. D, or like, what would Mrs. D do? These are the most asked questions about sharing documents. So situation one, I am presenting to an audience in person or virtually. Okay, so that's the situation, and we want to share our presentation. If I want them just to have a version to follow along with, I'm going to put it in preview mode, where they have a left and right with the arrows, but they can't edit anything. and they can't make a copy of it. If I want them to take notes or have a copy to do activities, that's when I'm going to do that force a copy. And that is where you take out the ending where it says edit and put in the word copy. Situation 2. You're given a presentation to a teacher for them to present to their class. That's kind of like what I was talking about a minute ago. If for them to just present and not edit your slides, I would literally give the teachers the preview mode. I'm going to give them the link. When they click on it, they'll pull it up on their screen and they just click the slides and they would present it. That way they can't edit it and all they have is just the slides. But if you want them to be able to edit your slides, but you do not want them, I need to fix that where it says you do not want them to edit the original. We're going to fix that really fast. You want them to be able to edit slides, but not your original. Then you're going to tell it to force a copy. That way that teacher has their own copy of those slides. And sometimes that helps when they are customizing it to their classroom or their agency. And that a lot of times is what I do with some things, because I know people want to put their own image in or they want to put their own intro in. So you have them make their own copy of it. Situation 3, the Bitmoji classrooms. If you want to use a Bitmoji classroom and all you're wanting them to do is click on certain parts and not arrow through it, then you're going to use the preview minimal. That means the navigation bar is gone, the edit bar is gone. They have to click on the slide somewhere. So when they click on a link or they click on a picture, it's going to take them where you want them to go. Now, if you want to embed it on your website so that it'll work for them, and not change the slides on its own like the embed code does or publish to web, what I suggest is add the image of the first slide. And then you're hyperlinking the image with preview minimal. So when they click on the image, it opens up the slides in that preview minimal mode. That's what I usually do. Situation 4. You've created a drag and drop activity for students to each do their own. Okay, so each kid's going to get their own activity to do. So if you want each student to have their own copy to complete, then you use force a copy. That means delete the word edit and put the word copy. That way every kid will get their own. Then they can do it and turn it back into you. There's also one thing to remember is you can have a presentation in preview mode so that students are following along as you're talking. That the link inside that presentation, we may have all the lesson at the beginning and then the activity is at the end, and they click the link and it makes the copy for the activity. So you can combine or mash 2 different types. That's what I do whenever I've got a presentation and the activity I want them to complete on their own. So they'll follow the slides in preview mode, but then when they click the activity link, it makes the copy for them to do it. So this is your chance. If I haven't covered a situation that you can think of, you can type in the chat window, or if you want to, you are more than welcome to unmute and ask. Can y'all think of any other presentations that are any presentation types or sharing types that you're not sure of what version to do it in? Anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, but you brought up a bunch of great ideas. I've been trying to figure out how to get fire safety back into the schools, and a few of these presentations are just giving me great ideas.
Well, that's good. That is a good thing. Thank y'all so much for coming today and attending. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, unmute. You can also shoot me an email And remember that I post videos on my website, on the busybeebree.com website. So past sessions are up there. If you have a question or a topic that you'd like to see me cover, let me know.